Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Counterpoint Podcast. My name is Maurice, and I'll once again be your host for today's episode. And I've got two very special guests today, my colleague Jeff Fieldhack, who leads our North American division, and my other colleague, Pavel Naya, who is in charge of our consumer insight service, which is called Consumer Lens. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the show.
Hey, hi Maurice, how are you doing?
I'm great, great.
Hello, Maurice.
Hey, Jeff. All right. So I know in the last few months, it's been incredibly difficult with the COVID-19 outbreak, lockdowns being imposed, some more severe than others in certain countries. But today, I think we're really going to focus on the US market. And, as we've really been seeing people continuing to work from home, limiting their outdoor activities, we've really seen this huge spike in app usage, anything from gaming, music streaming, podcast. I mean, Spotify was down, I think, yesterday for a certain period, and people were all up in arms about it. And, people are just continuously watching different video streaming services. Um, and for our consumer lens survey that we recently did, I wanted to pull out some highlights and hopefully we can have a good discussion on it for the US market. So, Pavel, can you tell us in terms of what the study indicates, what the average consumer is spending on for apps and where there are certain spikes?
Yep, I think if you look at the overall scenario, like people are staying home and you know they have to find some ways to entertain themselves, and in a lot of gym and other physical activities are almost closed down in many areas in US. So they are left with either they go for use their time for the entertainment purpose, or used to learn new skill or study and knowledge and these particular areas. So by this nature of app categories, we have seen a spike in entertainment apps, specifically video ott platforms, and almost like 3 in every 4 respondent in our survey said that they are using some sort of apps and spending money on a monthly basis on those. And similarly, for music streaming, we have seen like more than 60% of the people in our survey said that they're spending money on those as well. And the current trend says that the amount of money they're spending is not the average for a single app subscription. It is much more than that, and that indicates that most of the people have more than one apps installed or subscribe to for their daily purposes. So these are the major two categories where people are spending money, and then there is a third category of games, and then knowledge and educations, which comes on the fourth spot.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, at least for me, I've had some more subscription services. When I look at my credit card bill, I'm like, oh, I have a podcast service that I didn't realize. But I think we're all spending a lot more money on, yeah, these services for sure. And I wanted to drill down actually a little bit more on video streaming platforms. What types of things are these platforms doing to lure in customers?
So different platforms has their different strategies. The most common strategies is to bring new content at least on a monthly basis, and in sometimes in countries outside US, we have seen some of the platforms even creating different subscription pattern. But for if you talk about the US in terms of content consumption, as people are staying home, they are likely use bigger screen than the smaller screen. For example, they will maybe prefer a laptop or an ipad to watch these videos over their mobile devices. So we have seen a lot of people are shifting from mobile to bigger screen, and as a strategy, high end video streaming options, for example hd and other subscription options are coming quite handy in those. And this is basically quite common across all the platform. Other than that, there are different bundling happening. I think Jeff can give you more details on that part. But from the consumer point of view, people are looking for better streaming, resolutions for consumption their videos.
Yeah, and as all these platforms consume more data, we're also continuously looking to have that constant and consistent data access for these platforms. Jeff, can you give us a little bit more color on what you see the carriers doing in the U.S., how they're capitalizing on this sort of demand?
Sure. Yes. I think the first point that jumps out at me is the carriers were well positioned for this increase. All networks, all the major carriers have stated data traffic is up 20 to 30% with the work from home and schooling from home, and the networks performed really well. They have already made many partnerships and had many offerings that they this kind of thrown into the future with COVID has affected. So education apps were already in place, and those were up well over 100%. Video game traffic, the big 5G use case, traffic is up over 80%. Food delivery apps, very important during the COVID times, that was up over 25%. So there were lots of large scale areas and applications that were ready, and the carriers were able to take advantage of this. And as said, the networks performed well. So they'll in the future be able to monetize even further.
Yeah, and I mean, just recently with Verizon, right? They've announced a kind of new bundling thing with Google Stadia, where they're trying to really push that gaming service that you mentioned, especially because of their 5G millimeter wave capabilities. So basically, different carriers are also trying to leverage their different types of 5G services, right? In particular for streaming.
Absolutely. And that was one good use case on the gaming side. Lots of other media partnerships already in place. Verizon offering Disney Plus. They also offer Apple Music for a 6-month trial period to get consumers hooked. T-Mobile has been hugely successful offering free Netflix with unlimited plans. Sprint had offered Hulu partnerships. So the partnerships were there. Verizon had tried to go their own way with their own content and Go 90 and other Yahoo and AOL acquisitions, and that I think it's safe to say failed. And now they're going more the partnership road. AT&T with their acquisition of DirecTV and Warner Media, they're kind of going it alone, but they have great over the top offers that have seen good traction during COVID times.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of revenue that's coming in from services, especially video streaming services. And now pivoting a little bit, now as we try to get into this new normal that we're all facing right now, there's also been, I think, Pavel, you mentioned an increase in things like dating and lifestyle apps. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So we have seen a spike in different categories, but for specifically like lifestyle apps, when it comes to that category, there are basically two kinds, right? One serve you different lifestyle content and run on advertisement as a platform, and then there are dating apps, for example, that bring two people together to build a relationship, right? That is their core business proposition. But due to this COVID situation, right, the physical distancing is still in place. So what's happening, people are opting for those virtual meeting and then virtual chat services to get engaged with their prospective opposite partner. That's bring a interesting scenario where on one side there is limited one-to-one interaction, but on the other side there is chances to increase the virtual interaction in place. And the overall spending in this particular category right now is close to $8.50 per month on an average. But as I mentioned, like a lot of app also works on advertising as a platform, so they comes as a free. So whosoever is spending on this app actually spending quite a lot to get that kind of average overall. So if you talk about spending pattern, if you see like almost people who are spending $20 or more on a monthly basis is almost one fifth of the total respondent, which means one in every five. And considering the current demographic of US, where people who are younger or age less than 35 years had not the majority of the person. That means people who are spending are coming from that particular category, and they're spending quite a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I've here when I watch TV sometimes, I certainly see these dating apps that show you like, hey, you can still meet someone just by video and making that happen. So certainly, these dating apps are also trying to push out how they're still relevant during these times. One other thing that I wanted to ask about, and that Jeff kind of touched upon too, with the carrier side, is how people working from home now. We have a lot of more emphasis on students getting educated at home. And naturally, this also means that they need to be properly equipped with education apps and connectivity. What did we find out there from our study?
So in this particular scenario, educations become virtual. Most of the schools are still closed, and I'm not sure if gonna open anytime soon. It's still there is a debate going on, right? And there are two kind of, again, education app we have seen. One comes as a platform where it give you the accessibility for connecting to your school or any other educational institute you're in. And school itself paid for those app categories, right? It's not basically directly coming out of consumer pockets. But then there are other platforms which provide a lot of skill development, and that mostly comes with a fixed course cost, or a monthly subscription packages. There we are seeing quite a surge, and right now the average spending is close to $9 in US on these particular app categories, where student definitely the high spender, and especially those who are under 25 years of age. And if you look at again the spending pattern, that again says like a lot of people actually spending more than one kind of this platform, which means close to like one in every five student, or the younger generation who wants to upgrade their skill, are spending more than one app in this particular categories.
Jeff, do you have anything to add on the carrier side that you haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah, so on the carrier side, COVID-19 has really accelerated the growth of video conferencing. All the carriers had video conferencing since 2015, but it just spiked and threw itself years into the future because of COVID-19. And Verizon had made a very timely purchase of Blue Jeans. This is a company that it has about 15,000 customers, so it's a smaller size competitor of Zoom. Other carriers have already made partnerships that they'd had in place. AT&T partners with WebEx. Sprint has partnered with Intercall. T-Mobile kind of has a blend of their own service in-house. So they were all able to take advantage of this work from home phenomenon. So even some stats, staggering stats, AT&T mentioned they have had days 500,000 WebEx meetings in a single day, or over 1 million conference calls in a day. So I guess this is kudos to the carriers to have already plans and things in place to take advantage. And, things will hopefully get better once there's a vaccine and that. But this phenomenon of working from home is probably not fully going away. There may be a blend, or, it could be very different scenario in 2 years. And the carriers are all well prepared to help and take advantage of this.
Yeah, certainly. And I think, during these times, there is still a lot of innovation that can happen, and we're right in it. So we're going to continue on with, trying to figure out what's happening and trying to keep our listeners informed. I want to thank you both for joining me today on the show. It was a great pleasure to talk about this and really dig into this topic area. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And for our listeners, if you'd like to know more, please go onto our website, counterpointresearch.com. We'll have our consumer lens little blog on this on the website. It'll be also listed on our podcast here. If you want to follow us, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other platforms. Don't forget to rate and review us if you want. It'll help us out. And until next time, take care.